It is a pleasure to have you on the party line today as we get ready for more visits with our candidates. So what in that position made you think this is what I want to do? I mean, what attracted you to the clerk and recorder's position?
I think it was just the opportunity to work with the public. I mean, I worked with the public my whole life, customer service, and I enjoy talking to people, meeting people, helping people out. And, you know, it'd be pretty cool thing for someone to come up and say, hey, we just had a baby, can you help us get their birth certificate? Or, you know, the other part of it is we also have to help people get their death certificates also, but we just need to make that as smooth as we can for them.
So when you decided to take on this job, how many people told you were crazy?
A few, but most people said that they thought it would be very good for me and I would do a good job. And for the most part, I'm really looking forward to it because it's working with the public, which I've done my whole life, you know, and I'm just excited to work. You know, growing up, I've gone to the courthouse a million times, regardless if it's, you know, on St. Patrick's Day to watch the bagpipers or get your registration or whatever. So I think it'd be cool to say, yeah, I work up at the courthouse.
Well, let's talk a little bit about clerk and recorders. What made you decide this is what you wanted to do?
Well, back in 2012, a friend of mine who was Sally Hollis's deputy up there, she asked a few of us moms that she knew if we would be interested in working an election. And so I'm like, yeah, sure. So I started in 2012 with the primary. Right there, my first election was doing kind of the basic things that you did, preparing ballots, just kind of keeping the ballot office organized and keeping track of everything. There's a lot of checks and balances that go on in that office, so there's a lot of counting. So I did a lot of that stuff, kind of the more basic, less technical things. But each year I learned a little bit more and I got a little bit more responsibility for each election. And so over the last 12 years, I have gained an abundance of knowledge. In 2022, I worked for the Secretary of State's office. We got a new election management software package, and I was involved with testing that for a better part of a year. I ran parallel elections, kind of mock elections alongside of our primary and our general in 2022. And so I learned a ton of election. I just learned so much during that time because I was kind of running the election a lot on my own. So that mock election.
Basically testing the new system.
Testing the new system along. So the election itself was run in our current system. And then I was running kind of a mock election alongside of it.
And so that change over to the new system, is that happening in this next election?
Yes, it happened in last year, so we've had it for a little over a year now.
So do you have a lot of experience with the courthouse and things there? Did you do a lot there, or are you kind of somebody coming in with a fresh view?
Well, I've been volunteering up there. I've been helping out with the student election. I went up and help Linda stuff ballots and kind of see how the process goes. And it's very interesting how much goes into it. I mean, there's a lot to it, but I like being up there because I can talk to her and ask her questions about the position and how she learned to do everything. Like, because going into this, nobody really knows how to do this job. You go in hoping for the best, right? Mm-hmm. So I'm asking all the questions. I'm talking to the land records lady. Well, actually, it's the deputy now, but she used to work in the land records. So I'm asking her questions about someone needs to file a deed. How do they do it? Or what is the process? And just stuff like that.
So are you a full-time employee of the Clerk and Recorder's office?
I'm a part-time employee
Part-time?
now.
Okay.
Yes. I work as a file clerk when it isn't election time. I've been doing a lot of projects with Linda, trying to just update and modernize, digitize documents from just the old documents that we have. There's just such history in the land office and in the Clerk and Recorder's office. But we're trying to digitize it and get it so, for one thing, it's more modern or more accessible to the public, just by going online and being able to search for something. And then also just like the old books that are in the land office, they're amazing books. They're really cool to look at, but they're also very fragile. And we just want to preserve those so that we'll have them for a long time. Mm-hmm.
So as you worked on that, I would imagine trying to figure out the basis of what you're going to do. Did you guys have to find a software package, or did you create your own? How did you do all that?
Well, there's the actual digitizing of those books. So far, we've only done the digitizing. We haven't done any of the indexing yet. And so that's a different project, one that I kind of hope to take on if I'm elected. It's a big project. It's going to take a lot of time. So, but we had a special machine because those books, we don't want to take them apart. They're just too fragile to be doing and running them through scanners. So, we bought a new machine that was it takes pictures. It's got cameras on either side of it, and it takes pictures, and then we just have all the digital images. So. That was a big project, so, but still working on that one.
As people come in to register on the day that you're trying to get other people to vote. So how do you balance that? Have you given that much thought?
You know, I'm really not sure about that, but it's definitely something I'll look into. But honestly, I've only been up there to help with the school elections and stuff like that, but I will find out.
Yeah, I'm just curious because I know I've covered the elections for 30 years. Yeah. And I know that people coming in to vote that day slow down the system. The other one are people that put in ride aids, like Mickey. If you ride in Mickey Mouse or something, it stops the whole system.
Yeah.
You don't understand what you're doing to the poor people that are volunteering for the election when you do that.
Well, it's funny, ever since I started this process, everyone I talk to, young or old, I'm like, are you registered to vote? Are you registered to vote? If they say yes, I'm like, okay, great. If not, I'm like, oh, I can get you a form and I can get you registered to vote. Because, I mean, it's very important, right?
Oh, it's one of the few things we as citizens have to do, in my mind. Mm-hmm. I mean, if you're going to complain, if you don't vote, you have no right to complain.
Exactly.
And if you don't vote, you get what you deserve because you didn't take time to be a part of it.
Right. I mean, just vote. I mean, it's nothing. It's not like it's a ton of fun, but fill out the paperwork, go in, vote, and there you go.
That's really kind of changed. There's more and more people are doing absentee.
Yes, we have about 60 or it's a little over 60% of our voters in Silver Bow County are absentee voters. And so preparing those absentee ballots is a big process, and then just getting them, receiving them, accepting them. We verify signatures.
Confirming them,
there's and then just keeping them together and organized in the way that we need them to be. So once election day comes, we can get them down to the Civic Center, get them run through the tabulation.
So they don't get counted in advance. They get counted the actual night of election.
Yes.
I was always curious about that.
Yep.
All right, thanks. Yep. I always thought about that because I'm an absentee. When I get it, I vote that day and I send it right back in.
Yep.
Like, okay, I'll get my vote in early.
Yeah, it sits in our election, in our ballot room, and we have to keep track of how many we have and which precincts they're in. And I mean, there's a lot of organization going on in that office. And of course, that office is under lock and key. It's actually even on camera now. So it's very, very secure.
That's interesting because, those absentee ballots come in Again, you have to confirm that the person who signed is the right person,
Yes.
signature.
Yeah.
But then you have to turn around and separate them by districts,
Yep.
put them in the room, and then guard them
Yes.
until you count them.
Yes,
There's
we
a lot
do.
of work involved.
Yes, there.
It'd be a lot easier if we just
it's
showed up and vote that day.
Amazing how much work there is involved. I think everyone that's come in and worked with us in the office as an election worker is always shocked, and I think it's surprising how many people that help us with those things are like, okay, now I'm going to vote because I realize how much work goes into this. So when you get your absentee ballot and it's sitting on your table, and vote it and send it back to us, because we put a lot of work into that.
Yeah. What is your vision? I mean, what do you think? Are you going to stay status quo? Do you see any growth opportunities, or is it kind of wait and see? Where are you approaching that?
I'm just taking it one step at a time. I mean, I'm really looking forward to getting in there, learning about it, and then down the road, I'll be running the election. I'll be the one in charge, and that's scary, but yet it's exciting. I have some friends that work at the Secretary of State who are more than willing to help me, because they play a big part in the election process. They do the trainings. They send out trainings for people to watch. So, we know what the proper steps are. So
you have that support. Because
I do.
What most people don't understand is the Clerk and Recorder's office is directly linked to the Secretary of State's
Yep.
office, because the Secretary of State is basically the state of Montana's Clerk and Recorder.
Yep,
really.
and they oversee all Montana elections. So I have a direct line to help whenever needed, and it's nice to have. That's for sure.
So how do you have those connections? Are they people that you grew up with, or people that you've worked with?
Just some really good family friends. Yeah.
That's kind of nice to have, isn't it?
Yep.
People you can lean back on.
Yeah, it's very helpful for sure.
So if you look at the office and haven't been in the office, what were some of the things that you think are important to continue? We talked about some of those, and projects you'd like to see done, and changes you might make.
Well, I definitely would like to continue with preserving the documents in the land office and getting those digitized, more accessible for sure. Like I said, election-wise, I'd like to get out and do some more voter education. I've been a big proponent of the my voter page and text my gov that we have available, so voters can just text a number and get their voter registration information right there. They don't even need to call us or come up and see us, which we always welcome those voters to call and come and see us. But text my gov is if you text 406-792-7922 and you type in the word VTR portal, PORTAL, then that link they'll send you a link that you click, and it will take you right to the My Voter page at the Secretary of State's office. The voter portal is what that's called. You enter your name and your date of birth, and it will bring up your voter registration information, so you can make sure that your address is correct, your absentee status is correct. Once an election is set, then we have we can have sample ballots put in there, so you can see what the ballot looks like. You can find the status of your ballot, whether it's been received, whether it's been accepted or rejected. So I've been one that's just, I think voter education is very important, and I think I'd like to get out and do some more of that just in the public.
Why you are the person they should vote for to be the Clerk and Recorder for Butte Silver Bowl?
I'm going to say because I'm passionate about the job. I really want to do this, and I know I'll be good at it. It's something new, but I'm not afraid to fail. I'm not afraid to ask questions. It's just something that I want to do. And when I put my mind to something, I'm going to follow through, right? And I feel like Linda, she's done a pretty good job. And if I can kind of learn from her and, maybe do some things better, then I think it would be perfect.
So is Linda going to stick around and work with you if you get elected, or would you just, the minute the election's over, start leaning on her?
No, I'm not exactly sure how that works, but
Okay.
I'm going to be leaning on her from now until it's over because, I'm going to go up there and help her whenever I can, and I'm going to ask her questions, and I'm just going to try to get as much knowledge from her as I can.
Sounds like a good plan.
Yep.
Again, tell everybody your name and how they can get a hold of you if they want to ask you more questions.
My name's Amy Shadow, and I do have a Clerk of Court Facebook page. If you wanted to message me on there, I would be happy to get back to you.
Well, we're down to our final time together, so this is where I give you a couple of minutes to tell everybody why they should vote for you as Clerk and Recorder of Butte Silver Bow. So the floor is yours.
Well, I would like your vote for Clerk and Recorder. I am the candidate that has the experience. I have 12 years in elections experience. This school election is my 15th election of working in Silver Bow County. And then 3 years in the Clerk and Recorder's office, actually doing work with the documents and the processes in the Clerk and Recorder's office. I can say I'm the only one that has that experience, and that is a very important part of this job, and I can't even imagine having somebody come into this job that does not know anything about it. There's so much to learn, and I mean, just the Clerk and Recorder position and just the election process, I think that would be so overwhelming to start from scratch. So I do believe that I am the most qualified, and I'm asking for your vote.